Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Havencast. I am a host, Chris Fernandez, here with your co-host, Tristan Watts. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. I'm wearing my sweater already. It's September 19th when we're recording this, and I already feel like it's Christmas, man. It's getting cooler outside, and I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for fall and for actually getting to wear jeans and long sleeve shirts and not be a million degrees.
Oh, you've known me for a while. You've known me for a while. You see me, but even in the summer, I was wearing sweaters, so it doesn't really change.
I have no room to judge because I will hold on to my I've got one special hoodie that I got from
it's 10 plus.
Super
sorry,
comfortable.
Oh,
also
yeah.
to that
No.
until it hits like triple. So I have no room to talk.
Hey, Tristan. Merry Christmas.
Happy Halloween.
No, it's already Christmas. You know, this is how capitalism works. You skip through all the other holidays and you focus on the one that generates the most money. So.
Oh no, Halloween has those Pokemon packs.
It does.
Not that they generate any money, but they're a lot of fun to hand out to kiddos.
Which is one of the topics for today. We're going to be talking about Pokemon 151 later in the episode. But first, we're going to talk about the RCQ that we had this Sunday. It was a modern RCQ, Regionals Championship Qualifier for Magic the Gathering. Then we're going to talk about Flesh and Blood. There was an announcement made this week, this Monday to be exact, which is really interesting. A lot of it is good news, but we'll get to that in a second. And then, of course, yeah. And then Pokemon 151. Pokemon 151 does come out this September 22nd, which is the Friday. And we're going to go through the spoiler and talk about our favorite cards. We're going to do something similar like what we did for Wells of a Dream, where we picked our top 5. Hopefully this time we'll talk less about them. That way we don't do an hour and a half of an episode. We'll see how this turns out. Yeah. So to start the episode off, Heavy Games, our regional championship qualifier was this Sunday, and want to do a shout out to the winner, Andrew Hakenewerth, I believe was how you pronounce his last name. Yes. I hope I did not butcher it. This is my second language after all, and so I've never seen that last name, so I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. That said, he was playing Rakdos Scam, and he defeated my friend Sabastian Daniels playing my HammerTime deck. That he changed a couple cards, but he borrowed it off of me, and he got second place, which is
those,
really sweet to see.
Clearings look familiar.
Yeah, dude, I swear by those silent clearings. I will always stand by them. I think this deck should be playing more of them. He did make some changes. He played 2 Emeria's Call and Solitudes in the sideboard. Played with 2 Springleaf Drums instead of 3, like I usually do. And I forgot what else he changed. I think he just played 2 Surge of Salvation main and 2 in the sideboard, which I've been playing 3 in the main. Yeah. He wrecked. He ran the tables. They both did. They pretty much ran the tables all day.
Yeah.
I know Sabastian went 3. I think he managed. I don't know. I think he played the round 5. I think he played it.
He agreed on a draw in round 4 and then went on to round 5 to go ahead and take I think it was his 4th win out of the 5 rounds.
Yeah, so 4-0-1.
Yeah.
Made it to the finals. He played I think it was his 5th round opponent. He played against him again on I think it was the quarterfinals or the semis. They were playing Tron and beat him both times.
Yeah.
Awesome kid. The kid was like 9 years old. Also ran the tables. I think his only loss was Sabastian the entire day.
Yeah,
Both
and let me
times.
tell you, as someone who hasn't played Modern in longer than they should, Tron looks very different from when I last played seriously. Um, like it's like Mono Green Tron is still, I think, the best form of Tron. Um, but it's just I don't know. Karn the Great Creator has changed that deck so much that it like yeah, it's big and stompy, but it's also super toolboxy based on the deck lists I've been looking at.
Yeah.
Kid had like an answer to like every game plan, essentially main board because of Karn.
Yeah.
And it's like
The kid was playing. The kid was also playing like Warping Well's main deck, which I love that card in this
yeah,
format right now. Warping
that
Well,
card was
it's
spicy.
yeah, that card is one generic, one colorless, instant. It's a colorless spell. It has 3 different modes. One of them counters a sorcery spell. One of them exiles a creature that has power or toughness of 1. And the last ability that sometimes does come up, but it's the least used, puts a 1/1 Eldrazi token that you can sacrifice for 1 mana.
Yeah.
That card, that card counters Crashing Footfalls and Living End from the Cascade decks. So that's you already have like a main deck answer for that.
It hits Ragavan.
It removes, yeah,
And Bowmasters.
yep, Ragavan, Bowmasters. It
Yeah.
gets rid of uh, there's so many cards. A lot of the cards from the HammerTime deck, it removes like Stoneforge Mystic, Esper Sentinel, Ornithopters, Nexus. There's so many applications for it. Like I love that card, and I love to see it in the main deck.
Yeah, honestly, I could see an argument for even running a full playset, 3 even, over just the 2. But I also understand that Tron is a pretty tuned package at this point, so I'm not sure quite what you would trade out for it.
It's gone through variations, and I really like where it is right now. But just to give you a sort of overview of what the top 8 was like, we had one. Let me see. 1,
Well, we had at least
2,
3 decks, right?
2, 3, 4. We had 4 scam decks in our top 8.
Does that count
Does
that count the Jund Death Shadow in there?
No.
Oh, okay. So we had 4 scam, and then a Jund Death Shadow, and then 3 non-red black decks. Okay.
So we had 4 scam, 1 Jund Death Shadow. We had a HammerTime, a Murktide, and a Tron deck. That was
yeah.
It was really cool to see. It's just kind of bizarre that this was even a local meta because in my personal experience, local meta games, at least in this area, are not this concentrated with a deck. Yeah. This is I think it's one of the few times that I've seen that we've had half a top 8 be scam.
Yeah,
like we see it online on Magic Online, we see it on like MTE Top 8 or MTE Goldfish. We see tournaments and we see those type of results, but when you see it firsthand, it makes you wonder. It's like, is this healthy? Like, is this something that we want? Like,
I think scam is maybe a little too good. I think the archetype is fine, but I think it just has so many good pieces and so many good answers that it's very enticing to people who want to play for wins. I mean, being able to grief turn 1 and fury turn 2, and then have a like, you know, a 3/3 double striker that early in the game is super strong.
Yeah, no, and I see it's certainly scam is a very powerful deck.
Yeah.
It really does feel like the police, the fun police of the format. Is what Jund used to be pre Modern Horizons.
Yeah.
This is the fun police. This is your turn 1, discard 2 cards from your hand. Turn 3, Blood Moon. It's the kind of thing that you see. Yeah. No, the games that they go. I played a lot against Scam, and I've beaten them almost every time. But the games that I lose are the ones that they go grief you, Blood Moon, and I'm like, oh, my Ursa Sagas don't do anything. My Nexus can't do anything. My Silent Clearings, my beloved Silent Clearings, can't do anything. And now I just have to draw one of my 8 planes to get out of this. Those kind of starts are the ones where they go turn 1 Ragavan unimpeded, and they can do a turn 2 Blood Moon because of the treasure that Ragavan gives you.
Yeah.
That's it's really hard to play combo deck against Scam right now, that sort of thing. It feels like the fun police.
Yeah, like there's Scam feels very deceptively aggro to me. Like it looks like, and sometimes it feels like when you play against it, it almost feels like a control deck. But then you're looking at it and you're going, oh yeah, there's Ragavans, and then there's these giant elementals that can be, the definition of mid range.
Yeah.
It's super aggressive. Dothy Voidwalker, like they don't even care about blocking. It's more just the free damage.
Free damage, and then you get to steal their cards, right?
Yeah, you get to steal their cards. There was one interaction where it was Scam versus Scam, and I saw no less than 4 Dothy Voidwalkers exiled with void counters on them, with 2 more on the field, and they were like throwing them at each other, declaring blocks, sacking and casting a different Dothy Voidwalker. So it was just effectively like this really roundabout way to cancel out the Dothy Voidwalker attacks. But it's like that seemed like Scam seems a little silly in some of its aspects. I think if you got rid of either Grief or Fury, it would be fine. I don't think you need both of them gone. I think maybe one of them, or even testing out a restricted list in Modern where you're allowed 1 copy of a card. That would work with like the
a lot of these cards. A lot of these cards I'd like to see. I don't know. I know this is the new norm, but is this the norm that we really want? Is this really that fun? Is my question. Like, people complain about Pioneer, and this sort of thing does not exist in Pioneer, and there's a lot of misconceptions to it. I don't want to get into Pioneer right now, and the misconceptions to the format, but I've been playing a lot of Standard, I've been playing a lot of Explorer and Pioneer, and I've been playing a lot of Modern, and sometimes Modern games are not that fun because your opponent taps out and they still have 6 cards in their hand. They have 3 cards on board, and you're like, well, here goes nothing. And then they just pitch a card, and they have a Solitude. And you play your answer, and they pitch another card, and they have another Solitude. And they're tapped out. And you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I got blown out.
Yeah, like that's
from free
my
spells.
Experience playing Modern as well, which is something.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing that I don't mind from Legacy, because the card pool in Legacy is so much broader, and there's so many things you can do Legacy in general.
And I feel like Legacy is even alongside the standard sets, because even right now, like, what is it? Up the Beanstalk is like the hot attack, and that's like a standard legal card right now. Granted, I think it's also seeing some play in Modern, like Agatha's Cauldron, but you just don't see it happen in Modern as much as Legacy.
It's kind of weird, but this is where we're at. But you judged the event, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what kind of interesting judge calls did you have, or what interesting things in general did you see?
Honestly, there was only 2 judge calls that really like spring to mind that are like outside of the norm, and one of them is just because I'd never encountered it before. That Scam versus Scam matchup I just mentioned. The question I was asked was, hey, what happens when 2 Dothy Voidwalkers block each other? And I was like, that's a really good question. I went to check to gather, they didn't have a ruling. So it kind of came down to like my interpretation of it. Which my interpretation is, since they do see each other heading towards the graveyard, they'll go on ahead and do that replacement effect.
Yeah.
So they'll both be exiled with void counters instead. Which...
For those who don't know what the card does, Dothy Voidwalker is a 3/2 black creature, Dothy Rogue. It has the ability Shadow, which means that this creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with Shadow. Then it says, if a card will be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it, which is what we call a replacement effect.
Yeah.
Normally a creature will go to the graveyard, but this says that instead of going to the graveyard, you will exile it. And then you can tap it and sacrifice it, and you choose an exile card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its cost.
Yeah. And so, kind of what led me to my decision on that was there was a ruling with, I guess, I was about to say a date, but they're all from 6/18/2021. But it says, while Daunting Voidwalker is on the battlefield, non-token creatures your opponents control won't die, they'll be exiled instead. So I think my interpretation of it being that they saw each other die would go ahead and replace that effect.
Interesting.
So that one was kind of a wonky one. And then the only other really big call that I had, and I think everyone involved kind of felt bad about it. But it was like round 4, I want to say. It was like round 4. It was pretty late into the Swiss portion of the tournament. It was Scam going up against 4-color Omnath. And 4-color Omnath was down to 2 life and had the line to win on that turn. And they went to go shock a land in at 2 life. I believe it was Watery Grave. So they went down to 0 life, and they realized their mistake and asked their opponent, like, hey, do you mind if I take it back? And their opponent's like, if I say yes, you're going to win. I can't do that. And so I got called over. I'm like, I think it's an important thing to keep in mind, rulings like that, because it's like, well, yeah, like, you misplayed, you're going to have to live with it. I think these were 2 very competitive people who kind of grind out tournaments, from my understanding. So, like, they were both understanding of the situation. It didn't mean it didn't feel bad, but I think the lesson to take away is, like, even at the highest level of competition, misplays can happen, and the best thing to do is slow down and really assess your board before you make major decisions. Because the people I saw who went further in this tournament, who made it to that top 8 and then made it all the way to the top, they were not playing super quickly. They were taking their time, considering their options. They were really looking over every possible outcome that they could think of before they laid a card down. And I just think that ruling was very, very telling of the overall state of the format.
No, if it makes you feel any better, the person who played the land is a good friend of mine, and we've been talking since then, and mostly just sharing deck lists. But he harbors no hard feelings. He made a mistake, and he realizes the mistake that he made, and so we're all fine. We're good.
But those are the awkward interactions you can expect as a judge, because not everyone is going to be fine with that.
No, and I myself, as a store owner, I kind of feel bad when I hear about these things, and I'm like, I want to like apologize profusely, or I want to like run over and give them like a hug, or give them like a bottle of water, be like, hey, here's a free drink on the house, like I'm so sorry this happened to you, but it is what it is, right? Like you said.
It happens even at the Pro Tour level, though. It happens all the time.
We've talked about this.
And and I mean, like, there's however many top 10s on YouTube from various Magic creators where it's like, this one mistake changed the Magic rule forever. And it's like, it just happens. Magic is a complex game. But the rest of the calls I got were pretty simple, like, what happens when I draw an extra card, or hey, someone accidentally drew 8 in their opening hand. It's like pretty easy stuff. That's like explicitly covered in like the REL like penalties document that they give out to judges. So it was. I was expecting it to be a lot more intense.
But I just want to say that it felt pretty successful, like a successful tournament on both sides. For the players and for us as the organizers, it felt very smooth. I wasn't there the entire time, but I was there for like the tail end of it, and for the most part, I get very stressful. I get very anxious. I want everything to run perfectly and to be smooth and to everyone have a good time. And I stress myself too much about it. So, but moving on, Flesh and Blood on the for Flesh and Blood and a competitive end for it. I haven't been super tuned in the last 6 months. I've mentioned before how much I love this game and how much I would play this competitively, but with Magic alone, I play so much of it that I just don't have time for Flesh and Blood right. But there was an announcement this Monday where Briar, Warden of Thorns, finally hit the living legend status. And do you know what living legend status means, Tristan?
Not at all, but is it a banned card now? Is that what I'm getting?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
The short answer is technically Briar is banned now.
Okay.
The long answer is that she's not banned because she was too strong. They decided to ban her. No, she got herself banned in a way. So in Flesh and Blood, they have heroes, right?
Right.
We mentioned it in one of the videos I was explaining the game. And Briar, Warden of Thorns is one of those heroes. She's like your commander.
Right.
And her whole deck is an elemental deck or an earth deck or a lightning deck or all three.
Okay.
So each hero, once they reach living legend status, they get banned. And living legend status is 1,000 points. So and they gain points by winning tournaments. Every time a hero wins a tournament, they get allocated a certain amount of points based on the tournament that they won. The more important the tournament, the more points it gets.
That makes sense.
And it's only by winning. They have to win the tournament. So even if they top 8, even if there's 6 in the top 8 of the same hero, they don't get points unless that hero wins the tournament, which is kind of weird. And in itself, it's another discussion as well.
Yeah, but it's an interesting way to tackle overuse of a card, which we were just talking about with Magic having a problem.
Yeah, so it's an interesting way to naturally rotate a format.
Yeah.
Because Briar not being in the format anymore means that the format will essentially rotate. The meta game will shift because then another deck is going to be more powerful now, and everyone else was just going to have to either step up or play that same deck or hero or whatever you. Now, Briar in itself is an interesting story because when Briar first came out, she came out in 2021, I want to say, for Tales of Aria. And I was actually actively playing back then, so I kind of have this fresh in my memory. In the span of like 4 months, Briar decks won like almost every single nationals event worldwide. And the callings, which are like Flesh and Blood Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It won callings. It won so many tournaments. And then they had to errata her instead of outright banning her because one of her abilities was too strong.
Which one?
One of her abilities.
I pulled her up just here so that way I can kind of get an idea of like what we're discussing. So which one of these abilities was errated?
So let me pull it up myself.
Okay.
And we could probably put in post-production too so that people can see.
I was planning on it.
Fire. So its ability says the first time an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero each turn, create an embodiment of Earth.
Okay.
An embodiment of Earth is a token that increases the defense on your cards when you're blocking. And a lot of the cards attack and block. They can do either. And so if you're using one of those cards to block with, it increases the defense on it. And it increases at +1. Now, the issue that we were having was that if you land... This is the errata version, I think, because before... It wasn't the first time, they had it so that every time you hit with an attack, you get an Earth token on the turn. So you could end your turn with like 2 or 3 tokens. So then on your opponent's turn, all your cards block for like 6 and 7 damage. So you're almost untouchable.
Okay, I found the
And
errata here. It says effective immediately, both adult and young versions of Briar are receiving functional errata, so her ability that creates embodiment of Earth tokens will trigger only once per turn. Yikes. Yeah.
yeah. So you were blocking for so much, so you barely spent cards blocking. So then back on your turn, you would have this critical mass, a larger critical mass of cards
Yeah.
to keep your opponent on the ropes.
She
Right?
seems like she really snowballed into herself because, while you're
Yeah. Oh yeah.
punching face, you're basically building a giant fortress around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and so Briar was deemed so strong. So she got the errata, and even after the errata, she was still very, very strong and very playable. But for like, I want to say almost a year now, she was like a 996 points, and she would not win a tournament. And everybody just kept like inching on their seats. Like every tournament is like, is this the tournament where she gets banned? Is this the tournament where she hits Live in Legend status? Is this it? Is this it? And we were like that for like almost a year now. Kind of insane. And then she finally did it. She finally got the last 4 points that she needed to hit Live in Legend.
That's actually
Oh,
hilarious that it took that long for
it's
a card that
so
started
crazy,
out
dude.
initially so strong, but it looks like the errata did a really good job of kind of keeping her in check.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
crazy how
and
a simple little only once per turn clause fixes things.
yeah. Now the other announcement that they had was the banning of bullseye bracers, and that one's kind of odd to me because they banned this card because of Lexi Livewire. Bullseye Bracers. It's a card, an equipment card that Rangers use. The Ranger cards. Um, Let me pull it up as well.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up, what's the difference between banned and suspended? Because it looks like it was moved from banned to suspended.
So, oh, that's what happened. That's the announcement. And to suspend. Okay, okay. I misread it earlier. Thank you for pointing it out.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Uh,
glad I wasn't misunderstanding.
so this card was banned to nerf Lexi.
Okay.
And that essentially means this card is not available at all. Now, being suspended means that they can provide a stipulation on which this card can return to competitive play. The stipulation in this case is that Lexi hits Live in Legend. Once Lexi hits Live in Legend, being a Ranger card herself, Bullseye Bracers can return to competitive play, so that other Ranger cards can use the equipment. So Riptide and Azalea could potentially play the Bracers once Lexi hits Live in Legend, or gets outright banned. But this is what the crux of the article was. It was addressing Lexi's power level in the format. And they were saying they didn't want to hit Lexi with any more bans or nerfs because they understand that when you're curating a competitive format, you do need a deck that is head and shoulders above the rest in some way.
Yeah, like a
You
mutant
need a
arch
best
enemy.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can ban stuff from her, but then another deck will just be the best deck,
Mm-hmm.
and people will complain how it's the bad deck, the best deck. So I understand where that coming from with that. Um, I actually appreciate the approach they've taken with Lexi in general. I think they just don't want to go ban happy
Right.
and cause a custom shift. They also see. I think the other interesting point was how high Lexi was in her living legend status, which is part of what they were addressing. Because if Lexi's close enough, that means Lexi's at 926 points right now.
Oh,
Lexi
so
just needs to hit 74 points.
yeah. And
So they're
for a card
thinking
that's apparently
there's
so good that they're trying not to keep banning things from the archetype. That seems pretty obtainable.
Yeah. So they're hoping that they're hoping Lexi just hits Living Legend naturally without having to ban her.
Yeah.
They're not taking more of an approach to nerf it and try to change the world's metagame. I think they're just, because the world's is in November this year,
Right.
so I think they just want to ride it out.
They're just trying
and
to
have a stable.
it.
Yeah, they're gonna write it out and see what happens for the World Championships. And there's also a new set coming out, which is Bright Lights,
Yep.
a set for Mechanologist. Bash is at 646 points. So they're thinking, oh, maybe all these cards will be injected into the deck and to the Dash decks, and then maybe Dash starts being the best as well, and Dash hits Living Legend. So we'll see.
Speaking of Bright Lights, I think Riker's actually going to finally teach me the game when Bright Lights releases. Because he's been hitting me up on Discord. He's like, "Hey, buddy, we should
Oh, he told me.
Blood." I'm like, "Heck yeah, we."
He told me. Yeah, he texted me and went like, "What's Tristan's Discord username?" I'm gonna hit him up about Flesh and Blood.
You know, I didn't even question the fact that he just had my Discord. I just kind of accepted it as it came. That's should probably be thinking about stuff like that more often.
Yeah, but one last thing I wanted to talk about this whole Living Legend status and all this, because we do need to talk about those Pokemon 151s. They did change the amount of points that certain tournaments give for Living Legend. They increased the amount. That way, this was what happened with Briar. Like, it might win a tournament, but then the tournament that it won was too low level that it maybe got 2 points instead of 4, and that sort of thing. So they increased the points for Pro Quest, Road to Nationals, and in the Pro Tour invitational events, I think it was. I'm definitely wrong about this one, but it's 4 points now. And then skirmishes are 2 points for every win. So if a hero wins a skirmish, for example, it's 2 points that it gets for the Living Legend status.
You know, on this banning restricted announcement as well, one little thing I'm noting that seems very interesting for a very competitive format is looks like there's a lot of uncertainty around the hero Lysander or Lyslander.
Icelander.
Yeah, Icelander. Is that how it is? Ice? I don't know. It's hard to tell with the font.
That's an I. That's an I, yeah. It's Icelander.
Where, like, the latest the Worlds players are going to know what the meta is going to look like is going to be October 11th. And I don't know. I think that's actually really cool. It gives, like, the top players less time to prep, and honestly, like, I think an environment like that for Worlds really brings out a lot of creative strategies. It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see Magic do something like, 2 weeks before Worlds, here's the format you're gonna play.
Oh, what's in October 11th? You mentioned October 11th.
Yeah, it says, oh, sorry, it's not October 11th. It's 11 days prior to Worlds.
Yeah, which is November 6th.
Tighter of a deadline.
No, wait. Days before that. No, so it's November 17th is 11 days. Oh, the next announcement is on Monday, September 6th, 11 days before the start of the World Championship. Yeah. So that's going to be on the 17th, that weekend. Which reminds me, now that we're correcting this, I should probably note that the pre-release for Lost Caverns of Ixalan is the 10th, the weekend of the 10th, not the 17th. I was wrong.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, they're banking to see what happens to Islander in October with all the tournaments happening. They don't foresee her hitting. They don't foresee her hitting Living Legend, and if she does during October, that means that come the World Championship, format will be pretty different because there's no Briar, there's no Icelander.
Yeah,
and
from someone on the outside looking in, I just want to see the most chaos happen because that makes the most interesting viewing experience. Like,
No, but I do like their approach because they were talking
yeah.
about how they do want to reward players that are putting the time and effort to win the world championships, and they're practicing, and they don't want to like upend all their testing by banning something 2 weeks before the tournament, right? That's really interesting to see their approach, and that they do value the effort that the players put in to this game,
Yeah, overall
and they don't willy nilly do decisions.
the entire announcement seemed pretty transparent in terms of reasoning and
Mhm.
um, the logic behind the decision. So, anyway,
But
Pokemon 151.
Pokemon 151.
Yeah. Sorry, I looked over. I was
Man,
like,
those
oh, we're like
segues.
35 minutes in and not done with Flesh and Blood. Chris, what's your favorite card in the set?
Ah, dude, mm, I have my top list, right?
Okay.
But I want to say it's Wigglytuff EX.
Wigglytuff
I
Ex
have
is pretty sick.
I have an unreasonable love for tank Pokemon. Pokemon that are like tanky.
Yeah.
They're like a lot of HP. They hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
And this Wigglytuff, oh my god. So Wigglytuff EX is a stage 1 Pokemon, so it has to evolve from Jigglypuff first. Has an ability called Expanding Body. And if this Pokemon has any special energy attached, it gets 100 HP, and it already has 250. So it's going to be 350, which is one of the more. Excuse me. I feel like it's probably the highest HP of any EX right now. And it has an ability called Friend Tackle. And it does 90 damage. And if you play the supporter card from your hand this turn, this attack does 90 more damage. And Tristan, if you play the Pokemon, it's real easy to have a supporter. It's not hard at all.
You can almost guarantee a supporter every turn, without even needing to like build around it. What I find interesting is Wigglytuff EX looks like a prime candidate to run double turbo energy if I ever sell one.
Yeah.
You just drop that bad boy on there, get the plus 100 HP. Like, sure, like your friend tackle only does 160, but it's just 160. You know, it's still
160 is still a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's still 2 shots against most EXs or Vs or V stars.
Yeah.
It's not a one shot, but you fill your deck with potions and healing type stuff, and
this
you
definitely
get
seems
there.
like the replacement for the Blissey deck that like rotated out not long ago. Which,
I miss Blissey.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get your fix with Wigglytuff.
Yeah, I do. Oh, I'm really excited about Wigglytuff because, like you said, you put double turbo energy on it, and that meets the requirement, and you get to attack almost immediately.
The benefits just outweigh that minus 20 attack penalty by quite a bit. Speaking
what about
of weird cards,
it's yours.
Yeah, my number one, and that's just because I'm going to force build this, and I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, but it's Aerodactyl. Because Aerodactyl, it's a stage 1, so it has to evolve from an item card, the old Amber. But Aerodactyl for two colorless energy, so also double turbo energy, has De-Evolution Ray, which deals 100 damage and devolves your opponent's active Pokemon. So, just for reference, you can devolve like a Charizard EX, and if you have 2 regular energy, not the double turbo, you can just KO the Charmeleon under it.
Yeah.
Same
with and to be fair, in this format where everybody rare candies their Charizards, it doesn't even turn into a Charmeleon. It just goes back to a Charmander, which immediately, like you said, KOs it.
Yeah, I can see Aerodactyl slotting into the Unity Wings deck as a one-of.
I don't know, dude, but it also stops my Wigglytuff shenanigans.
It does,
yeah. Wigglytuff
I don't know. I think
It's
it's just such a. I cannot think of another Pokemon, and I'm sure there's one that exists, but I can't think of another Pokemon card that like actively devolves an opponent's Pokemon while also damaging it.
yeah,
And to me, that seems like a really strong effect.
yeah. 100 damage is a lot of damage too. So it'll KO almost any stage one or basic
Stage one or
Pokemon
stage
there.
two, yeah. Like it doesn't.
But
If it was just 100 damage, it'd be terrible. But that de-evolution changes so much.
Tristan, I have a counter for that.
What?
It's my other favorite card of the set. It's
Uh,
Ditto.
I was gonna say, is it Ditto? I didn't want to spoil
Yeah,
it.
it's a Ditto. It has 60 HP and it has an ability that says Change Start. It says this ability can only be used if this Pokemon is in the active spot and only on your first turn. Search your deck for basic Pokemon, except any Ditto, and if you do, discard this Pokemon and all attached cards and put that Pokemon in its place, and shuffle your deck. And then it has an attack for 10 damage or one card or less, but it doesn't matter because you don't attack with this. My plan is to have one Wigglytuff in my deck, maybe two, and one Ditto, maybe two, but probably one, right?
Okay.
No, you just need the one Ditto. You need the one Ditto. And then you're gonna shuffle your deck and draw 7 cards, and you're gonna try to find that Ditto. Because in this game, you mulligan every time you don't have a basic. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my opponents a bunch of cards because I only have one basic in my deck now. But once I have the Ditto in play, I start with it. It's my first turn, and I get to discard it and get back that Wigglytuff and put it into play. And if you devolution spray on it, there's no Pokemon onto it. It never evolves, so you can't win.
Wigglytuff's the stage 1 Pokemon.
Yeah, what does this say?
Ditto requires a basic.
I thought I heard someone call my name because this is embarrassing and I gotta leave. No.
No, Ditto does seem
Dang.
pretty good though, regardless, because it's basically a 5th copy of any basic Pokemon that you want. Um, it does get you Kangaskhan Ex.
What if you get a tank Pokemon that's just a basic?
So that actually kind of ties into what my number 4 card is. It's the new Clefairy.
Fairy.
Let me see. I cannot remember what number Clefairy is in the Pokédex, so I've got to locate it.
I just control find and type in
You know
Clefairy.
what? That makes too much sense. Okay, Clefairy. So, I mean, on the surface, it looks pretty meh. It's just a 60 HP psychic type with a 20 power attack for 2 energy. But its 1 energy attack is called Moon Viewing Invitation, where you go find 3 Clefairies and put them onto your bench. So you
Yeah.
flood your bench with Clefairies, and then you just start slowly evolving them to Clefable, and
Okay.
you start controlling the board, because Follow Me is a boss's order.
Oh.
More Moon, basically you take whatever's the weakest thing that they have out there, you throw it up. If you can kill it in 50, knock it out with 5 damage counters, you get to take 2 prize cards.
Oh no. I didn't think about this. You can their attack Follow Me. It's 1 psychic. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot.
Yeah.
And the other one is 3 psychic energies, more Moon, 50 damage. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take 1 more prize card. So yeah, I didn't really think about you knocking out all the small Pokemon, and just getting an extra prize card instead of the 1.
Yeah.
So it's like knocking out V's, but
for
I like that.
basic Pokemon. The only thing that I do think would be a problem with it is it's 50 damage. If it was 60, I think it'd be a lot more obtainable.
Yeah.
Because 60 just kind of seems to be like that minor threshold for like basic Pokemon, like
Yeah.
basics. But I mean, I think it slots well into the Alakazam archetype, if nothing else.
Speaking of which, it's also one of my cards.
That was an intentional transition.
So we spoke about how this set heralds the return of the Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam line. It's the first time it's been printed in 20 years. The Pokemon Company won a lawsuit. Uh, it's a long story. I don't know all the details. And as you can see from my Ditto mess up, I mess up details all the time. Um, but Alakazam says two colorless Mind Jack. That's first attack, 90 damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which in itself is very strong. And so it's one of my favorite reasons. Uh, One of my favorite attacks from Palkia, from my Palkia deck. Palkia is my baby deck, and my not my baby deck, but it's my um pet deck. We
Yeah.
call it pet deck in Spanish. I mean English. Uh, so the second attack is two psychic. The attack is called Dimensional Hand, and it does 120 damage. But this attack can be used even if this Pokemon is on the bench. And that is awesome. Like doing 120 damage from the bench. So you can probably put like some kind of it can put some kind of Pokemon in the front, like Diancie, I think it's Wigglytuff. You can put like a card like Diancie, I think it is, that as long as that card is on the active spot, supporter cards do not affect your card, so they can't bosses order you, for example.
Yeah.
So they can't bosses order you. The bosses order the Alakazam to the front, so you can keep that Diancie in the front. They have to attack that one instead. So it keeps your Alakazam in the back. Being able to do that amount of damage from the bench is actually pretty sweet, and I'm hoping this is competitive in some way. It slots into the Kirlia decks, the Gardevoir decks. It seems like a cool card there. I think I might be wrong, but I think they play rare candies in that deck anyway, so you can rare candy from Abra to Alakazam. Um, I It's 310 HP for this EX. That's a lot of HP for an EX.
Yeah, so even if it
I
does
don't know.
manage to
I
get
can see this
swapped
card.
out front, like it's gonna tank probably 2 to 3 hits before it goes down. And
Yeah.
I mean, it even works with. I'm gonna slightly spoil one of your next ones. Works really well with Mr. Mime. If Mr. Mime's out front, and you can keep, if you can manage to keep its energy count consistent with your opponent's active Pokemon, you're not taking damage.
Yeah. I love the Mr. Mime. Since you brought it up,
Yeah,
it's
what would
90 HP. The ability is Mimic Barrier. If this Pokemon and your opponent's active Pokemon have the same number of energy attached, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's active Pokemon. Then it has a colorless attack called Psi Power. Put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Um, I love this card. I love how goofy and quirky it is. I don't know how. I don't know if you're gonna be able to like prevent damage all the time, but it does mess up your opponent a little because
Yeah.
they have to over energy on their Pokemon to be able to like out energy you so they can attack it. It's cute. I love this kind of effects. It reminds me of Gravity Bind in Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Which Gravity Bind made it so that anything with 4 stars or more couldn't attack. So this kind of
Yeah,
goofy card
this
I
Mr.
really
Mime
enjoyed.
seems pretty versatile too. There's just a lot going on with so little text. Um, kind of forces your opponents to play around it to a degree if they want to get damage through. It doesn't stop Alakazam EX from hitting because it's only active Pokemon that it
Yeah,
prevents damage for, and then it can also be a really good cleanup Pokemon. Those 3 damage counters in any way you like. That can take out 1, 2, or even 3 Pokemon if you're in the right situation. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, this is fun. Like a lot of these cards are like interesting design. They
Yeah.
seem fun. That's why I picked a lot of them. Not necessarily because they seem competitive, but they're quirky. They're interesting.
Yeah.
What about you? We've gone through 2 cards in a row for me.
I was gonna say my next one, and it's because of how I'm. I cannot tell if this is a good card or if this is a terrible card, but it's Porygon. So Porygon has one attack. It is a uh, normal type, 60 HP, basic Pokemon for 1 colorless energy. Conversion 4. Choose grass, fire, water, lightning, psychic, fighting, dark, steel, or dragon. So one of each of the remaining types. The defending Pokemon's weakness is now that type until it leaves the active spot.
Tristan, look at Kabutops.
Oh no. Uh, Oh, okay, yeah, no, it's a great card. Kabutops is fantastic. Apply weaknesses for your opponent's active Pokemon times 4 instead. Yeah, so there we go. There's a whole archetype. I knew it was good from the beginning.
See, so your Porygon can switch the active Pokemon's weakness to fighting,
Uh-huh.
and then you switch to Kabutops, right?
Yeah.
And then
Deal 400 damage.
actually, I don't know the exact wording is translated, but this could mean that you can keep this on the bench and apply its ability and just hit them with a different fighting Pokemon and do 4 times as much damage.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Because
that's actually a really good distinction that you just said there, because yeah, that is an ability, and it does not specify being active. So apply weaknesses for your opponent's active Pokemon as times 4 instead.
yeah. Or if you have to attack with Kabutops, you can do 1 fighting energy to a double turbo. Yeah, it hits 80, but it's 80 times 4.
I would
It's
like
still
to see
320
this.
damage.
I know it's not going to last very long as a deck, but I would like to see this in Rapid Strike Urshifu.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be just a cheeky little. He gets in, he punch, and he get out, and Porygon just keeps applying that weakness over and over.
Yeah.
That
You can do
seems
that,
pretty.
or I can also see like a pretty solid, maybe not solid, maybe it's a little convoluted, but it might be solid. It might be a solid like single price deck too.
Yeah.
Um, it seems very interesting, very fun. Because somebody, I saw this card, the Kabutops, and I was like kind of hyped about it, and somebody asked me, "Is like, is there any way to change the weakness of a Pokemon?" I was like, I don't know,
There is. It's
but the card
Porygon.
is on the store. It's Porygon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Turns out Porygon is accidentally good. It's probably not accident. I'm sure that's intentional. Um,
But yeah, what's their next card?
my next one. It's not actually a Pokemon. It's an. Uh,
Ooh,
it is a
it's a
Pokemon
trainer.
tool. I'll give you a guess because there's only so many tools. There's 3 tools in the entire set.
I know a couple guys that are Pokemon tools.
Oh yeah. Are their names Gary Oak and Ash Ketchum?
No, I was kidding.
Oh, okay. Uh, so the card is leftovers.
Oh, yes.
Which just says at the beginning of your turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, heal 20 damage from it. Super simple line of text. I think it's extremely powerful. Pop that bad boy on a
This is
Wigglytuff.
Snorlax. Wigglytuff. This is Snorlax in the same set that uses
That
leftovers.
Yeah, that gets the leftovers from your discard pile back to your hand.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like it's just such a simple effect that does so much. I think it could go on just about any deck.
I can see that.
Especially if there's a deck that just doesn't have a clear good tool to use over it, you know? Um, You just slap it on like big beefy boy, and then it's way harder to kill. Like even Golem, like 330 HP. Put put a leftovers on it. Let's just see what it does. You know?
I love that.
Yeah. Just goes to show that like you don't have to be a super complicated design to be an interesting card.
I didn't see this. I didn't put this in my list, but I'll give this an honorable mention. But I didn't get to like read into the trainers, but the cycling road, that card's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah,
It's like a rating Greninja for decks that probably can't afford to play rating Greninja. But
yeah,
once during each player's turn, that player may discard a basic energy card from their hand. If they do, that player draws a card.
yeah. Some solid
This
loot effect.
this is a competitive card right there. Like people will be
Yeah.
looking for this card
The
once the set
Gardevoir
comes out.
EX,
Like
Gardevoir EX deck is really gonna want that too, because don't they want to
yeah,
pump as much energy into their graveyard as they can, or into their discard?
this set drops this Friday, the 22nd, and I open my doors at 10 a.m. and I will have a call of someone asking to see if I opened any cycling roads. I guarantee you. And I'm like, my good man. I'm assuming the person is a gentleman. Um,
That's recovery.
um, my good person, or my good fellow human. I like that one.
Yeah.
My good fellow human. We just opened the doors. The set has barely dropped. I do not have this card right now. And an interesting fact about this set is that there's no booster boxes for this set.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's all the packs are gonna be in.
Like
I actually
tins.
got some of the. They're gonna be tins. They're going to be. There's a box set that has a binder that's sweet binder. It's a really nice looking binder. Um, with like 5 packs as well, and that's super interesting. Frankly, I love that. I
Yeah.
think Magic should do something like that too. They should do.
Would have been better than
They should
Aftermath.
do a nice Magic binder. They should do a nice Magic binder with like 5 booster packs of the newest set, or you do a binder for like every set. You do like, oh, next set is Lux Cavern of Ixalan. I'm gonna have a Magic binder that's Lux Cavern of Ixalan art with 5 packs of Lux Caverns of Ixalan, and you charge, I don't know, $5 a pack. They're set boosters, so let's do $5.50 a pack or $5 a pack. 25 binders, probably like $20. The product is $45.
Yeah.
There you go. $50, $49.99. You have a sweet binder that holds 360 cards and set packs from this new set.
I mean, Pokemon's
There you
always been
go.
pretty good about unique products at the eraser blisters for back to school.
Yeah,
um,
dude, Pokemon products have always been insanely cool,
yeah,
and I love the approach the Pokemon Company takes when they're doing their product releases, or they're doing designing their products, or they're branding or whatever.
yeah,
Um, for example, um, it it's not much, but I appreciate that they even tried and addressed it. They had to go up. They had to charge more for the packs,
yeah,
so their MSRP had to go up 50 cents. So instead of 3.99, it was 4.49.
yeah.
And in the same announcement, they said, "Hey, since we're raising the price of the pack, every pack now is going to have a holo foil in the booster pack, which wasn't the case before.
Right.
Sometimes you got a holo foil, sometimes you didn't.
Sometimes you
But
just
the
have the
fact that
reverse.
but the fact that they're giving you, they recognize that they have to go up, and they did a small thing that doesn't cost them more money, but they didn't even have to do, because Magic has to raise the prices all the time. They don't give you anything extra for it.
Yeah. No,
Just
they don't. They're just like, yeah, we know you're gonna buy it, so
yeah, like Pokemon has been throwing in sleeves in their Elite Trainer boxes, which is the Magic equivalent, the Pokemon equivalent of the Magic bundles.
yeah,
And for the same price as a Magic bundle, you get roughly the same amount of packs, and you get sleeves. Their sleeves are bad. but they're sleeves.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
they do the job if you're putting something into a sleeve and into a binder or
Yeah.
something, or a top loader.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pokemon product design, I'm sending you a link on Facebook here. It's actually
Oh.
something that Bandai is starting to take note of. You know, like those little Pokeball tins that Pokemon did,
Oh
where they
yeah.
came with like 3 little booster packs inside and a coin. So One Piece is currently doing, or is about to do, the what they're calling the Devil Fruits Collection. So this is Volume 1, where they're basically printing like those little Pokeball tins, but they're shaped after the Devil Fruits from the show.
Oh, okay.
Also, like they're deck boxes. They can hold your deck.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they come with like the sleeves. They come with a special Dawn card, and I think it's like 2 packs of the new set and 1 pack of the previous set. Um, so it's almost like they took it right out of Pokemon's like game book.
Wait, do they come with 10 sleeves?
I
That's weird.
don't know if it's 10 sleeves or if they just have it like that just to show what it looks like.
So on the product details, it says 3 booster packs, 1 Dawn card,
Yeah.
sleeves 10-piece set,
Oh,
and
so only
then
10 sleeves?
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's an oh, maybe it's for the Dawn deck because you have 10 Dawn cards.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that makes sense. But at least I don't know.
Well,
Uh,
25
I'll
bucks.
take it. It's
It's a big box. It's a big box exclusive, kind of like I think the Pokeball tins are. Or can you get the Pokeball
yeah.
tins?
Oh, we can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's a big box exclusive, unlike the Pokeball tins, but it's just interesting to note that like other card games are like seeing like what's working for Pokemon. It's like, hey, let's recreate that. Um,
Yeah.
that was a really
This is
roundabout
still
way of
cool.
saying like, hey, that's Pokemon does a good job with their product.
Yeah, they do. But anyway, you have one more card. I lost track.
uh, yeah,
I
I
do
can
have
keep
one
track.
more.
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay, what's your last card?
My last one is Mew EX. As a dirty
Uh,
Fusion Strike Mew player, this Mew EX is just the Genesect package on a Mew.
oh
It's
yeah.
it's really strong. Like once per turn, you can draw 3 cards, or you can draw cards until you have 3 in your hand, and then it's I guess the way they balance it is by making it only as strong as whatever your opponent's active Pokemon is. But
Yeah.
most of the time in Pokemon, your opponent's probably playing something pretty strong.
I like
So
that you copy an active Pokemon's attack too.
yeah, yeah. It seems I don't know. I'm gonna try and build around it. It's because I mean Fusion Strike isn't gonna be around for much longer,
Yeah.
and
It rotates out in February.
yeah,
I have to double check that, but
and
um,
like yeah, the ability restart isn't as strong as Genesect
yeah.
Genesect V's, but it's still a stackable draw effect in an archetype that can already discard a lot of cards
Yeah.
and get to their deck. It just seems I see something brewing. I'm not sure what it is, but I see something.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I'm finishing mine off with another heavy hitter too. Like mine's
Oh yeah,
your card is pretty competitive, and I want to say this Blastoise EX pretty competitive.
yeah.
So
I was looking at that because I saw your
the
list earlier.
Blastoise EX, aside from having the good fortune of being water Pokemon, which kind of goes well with my Palkia deck, uh, it has 330 HP, which is kind of tanky as well. Kind of see a trend there.
Yeah,
And the ability is Solid Shell, uh, or Solid Shell.
yeah. You said
That
it right the
shell.
first time.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said shell.
Oh, okay. Everybody keeps getting onto me for being like, "Oh, Solid Shell." Sorry, what? I'm
No,
like Shell.
it's the Puerto Rican. Don't
Okay,
worry. I speak
it
Missouri
is.
mushmouth, so I understand you.
I'll start worrying when I start saying Missouri.
Missouri,
So this Pokemon, Solid
Missouri.
Shell. This
Hold on.
Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. So that in itself already. It has water for its second attack, twin cannons. 140 damage times. It has a multiplier. Discard up to 2 basic energy cards from your hand. This attack does 140 damage for each card you discarded this way. So it can do up to 220 damage with barely any issues.
You mean 280 damage?
Did I say?
You said 220. There's a whole 60 more damage there.
No, wait. It's 220. It's 320.
What?
I can do math. Yeah. Because you discard 2, so it's 40 times 2. No, wait.
280.
Ah! I'm an idiot. No, I can't do math.
We're gonna have so much fun with editing this. I'm gonna have to like look up the special effect of like the calculus equations fading in and out of existence around you.
I was trying to add it up. It's 280 damage, Tristan. Of course. How do you not know this?
I don't.
Can't you do math?
No. What's math? This Caterpie looks pretty neat. Leaf Munch, 10 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a grass Pokemon, this attack does 30 more damage. That's a whole...
30 times 10 is 30!
It's 10 plus, sorry.
Oh.
Also, 30 times 10 is 300.
I'm sorry, everyone. I kind of lost my composure there. So what I'm saying is this card is really good, and it goes very well with Chien-Pao, which, if it's the active Pokemon, it has an ability that lets you get up to 2 water energy from your deck, I want to say. So they go hand in hand together, and if you're playing Chien-Pao, you're probably playing something close to Excalibur, which plays Rare Candy, so it goes well with... So you can Squirtle and Rare Candy into Blastoise, and there's a lot of Rare Candy shenanigans right now, and yeah, and it can do up to 280 damage, not 320.
280 is nothing to scoff at, though.
It's still one-shots a lot of things.
Yeah, just, not any current EXs, but it hits basically everything else.
It's good with Palkia too, because Palkia has the Star Portal ability and lets you get up to 3 energy that you probably discarded to this and attach them to your Pokemon, to your water Pokemon.
It just fits so well into what water as a type just wants to do, which is just here, like, we're gonna go grab a bunch of energy out of our deck and then throw them away so we can get stupid powerful effects. Like, it's what water has always done and what it will continue to do, and I think this is the most water Pokemon that ever watered. in a good way. Hi, Mika.
Yeah.
So, do you have any closing thoughts on 151 before we move on to final announcements? Because we're at an hour and 8 minutes.
An hour and 8 minutes? Man, we're making good time. That means we have like 20 more minutes to spare. No. No, so Pokemon 151 will be coming out on September 22nd. I think I still have product that's not been pre-ordered yet. I had a lot of people ask for like one of everything and that sort of thing. So,
those are our favorite customers.
Yeah, so I'm sure I still have quite a bit of products left over for this Friday. This thing is not gonna last very long on the shelves. Every store that can get their hands on Pokemon 151 is not gonna have it for too long. So stay on top of it if you want to get some. Same as Walmart and Target, their stock is not gonna last very long. This thing, I mentioned it in a different episode. This thing has been hot. This thing has been hot since May, since this set was announced. Before Obsidian Flames was announced first. Pokemon 151 was announced later, and Obsidian Flames was not even on the radar for people. It was 151. That's what people want right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's I mean, all of the crazy, fun, pretty unique mechanics in this set just I think it's got people just a brewing. I'm really excited to see what what the meta looks like after this releases. It's gonna shake up a
Yeah,
bit, I think.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of cards that are interesting that might. I don't know how impactful they're going to be,
Cannot
but
wait
the
to
fact
lose to
that
Porygon.
I cannot wait to see someone make that work. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be my day.
Now that you pointed it out, I'm gonna be on TCG Live just trying it out, and I'm going to force
Yeah.
this to happen one way or another.
Yeah. No, but yeah. Don't forget, people. This Sunday is our Pauper Shindig. Pauper Shindig. It's right around the corner. I'm very excited about this. The playmat came in. I wish I had. I meant to bring it so I can show it to people, but if you stay tuned on Sunday, I'm hoping I can stream it too. I'm really hoping to set everything up so I can stream it and people can actually see the playmat that we made for it. It looks awesome. Really proud of the work people uh, put in for it. Like, yes, it is AI generated image, but
It
it was
looks really
somebody who
cool.
spent hours. Yeah, and it was someone that spent hours putting code into it and trying to get a cool playmat out of it. So there was an effort involved. So Sunday, September 24th, don't forget to pre-register, same place as always, haven-games.com, events / events -1. Um, don't if you are interested, we posted on our website the top 8 for the RCQ. So if you're interested in modern, go check that out. Check the deck list. Did very well at this tournament. Granted, it was 5 rounds, but it was 5 grueling rounds in a format that is kind of hostile, and but
And
it's
then another
still
3 rounds if
yeah,
you're in the top 8.
yeah. And then don't forget the Flesh and Blood Bright Lights pre-releases Sunday, October 1st. I have to make an amendment to that. We're probably doing it on the Monday after, the October 2nd at 6:30 or 7. Reason being that a lot of people can't make it on the weekends, and our community is kind of small. So I want the most players available to be able to play in it, and they do cap it at 16 people. Like, they only send us enough for 16 people, which is weird. And don't forget the Pro Quest 4 booster draft for Flesh and Blood on Sunday, October 22nd. Other than that, I want to mention that I sent you a Teamer Adventure list that I am awfully proud of right now.
Yeah,
It's been fun to play.
I'm still working on gathering the wild cards to build it and explore.
It's
Looks pretty
been really
sweet.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to work on it. I still need to get sideboarding and tune some of the amounts that I have. Like, instead of playing maybe 4 Lucky Clovers, maybe I want to play 2, maybe I want to play 3, that sort of thing. Like, there's a lot of tuning that I have to work on, and a lot of sideboarding plans that I got to work on. Because I found that if I against certain matchups, if I sideboard one way, I have better chances than if I sideboard the other way. That sort of thing. Like,
My favorite
finding out which cards are impactful or not.
my favorite thing about this list that you sent me, besides the obvious you just grab 4 of everything that you wanted in the deck, is
Yeah,
just I know a lot of your spells are adventures, but just looking at the list raw, you have 4 spells and it's just a 4 of sleight of hand.
yeah,
I know you were talking about how excited you were that it was getting a reprint. Just
yeah. So
I should have known the first deck you're gonna send me was gonna have 4 sleight of hands in it.
I replaced them with Lucky Clovers that I had in the sideboard just to try them out main, and that deck doesn't really need them. I think you want sleight of hand more than you want the Lucky Clovers.
I don't disagree. I'm just
And
laughing at your
yeah,
excitement for
and
it.
and if you play Lucky Clover main deck, I think you want 2 or 3. You don't want any more. I think 4 has been too many. Has been that good. Um, the card that has really, really impressed me. Honestly, all the cards impressed me, but the one that I've been mostly impressed by has been the Otter.
Yeah, that otter is pretty
The
strong.
amount of the amount of games that I've won because I did the adventure side of the Otter that gives X 1/1 counters
Yeah,
distributed. Like Baluna has trample, so I've been able to turn it into like a 10/10.
yeah,
Brazen Power having flying, I've turned it into a 10/8
yeah.
and killed people out of nowhere. Like the
It's
fact
super
that the
fun.
deck can kill out of nowhere,
Yeah, it seems pretty
it's been
fun.
great.
I totally see it. I want to see how this does in Pioneer.
Me too. That's my next step. Once I figure this out, I can figure out how to port this into a Pioneer shell.
Yeah.
I also need to work on a mana base. The shocklands have been too shocking.
With
It's
that
been
shocking revelation, we are at an hour and 15 minutes, so we're gonna sign off and probably talk about this more off camera. Uh, and once it's maybe tweaked more, Chris, maybe you can do a deck tech.
you know, I should do an article about the deck.
Yeah,
You know, I should do more online content. I'm working on that. I think.
I'm working on that. I'm Tristan.
Crap! It got me.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.